Hello everyone and welcome back to Dark Marketing, and this I hope is going to be a very exciting episode, assuming I can keep my head on straight. There's so much stuff happening with the Google Core update, so we're going to be talking about that, an HCU, helpful content update, that just really went off the other day and it's impacting a lot of people. Not a surprise. A couple of people I want to talk about that they got hit hard with this. Cunningham, who has a YouTube channel, and on his he features Bonsai Mary website. Oh, took a big hit. I really broke my heart for that guy, and my first gut reaction in his case was he must be targeted, because I felt that that was so niche that, you know, for him to be exploited, it must have been because of YouTube. Then I actually took a, decided to analyze his marketplace and website and what happened. And afterwards, spoiler alert, I do believe 100% he was targeted by Google. And like I've indicated in videos previously, if you're going to be on YouTube and you're going to showcase something and you're kind of demonstrating your exploitations, it goes back to the casino analogy. Google doesn't want you showing people how to get the slot machine to pay off more times than it should. Understand? They don't want you showing people how to break the bank in the Google safe. So they penalize people, and they're trying to send a message and discourage people, and I see it clearly. I also, like I said, I follow a lot of guys on YouTube, and I like to listen to the case studies, and then I'll do a little quick analysis on my own. So we're going to do some real world stuff in this video, and then we're going to really show how backlinking plays into all this, and it's such a powerful tool. But like anything, it's not a magic bullet. And as I've said before, a lot of these sites that, if you're just doing one, you've carved out a niche that's very profitable, and you've been exploiting it and kind of, bending and breaking the rules a little bit like the Matrix, well, sooner or later that's going to catch up to you. And that's why, as I said, everything is always changing. And right now we're seeing a lot of big changes with Google. But things will settle at some point, and we'll find our new way to fit into the ecosystem. And for me, that's what it's always about. I'm very relieved. All of my clients are fine. The worst hit client I have took about a 20% hit, very small, and he was kind of due for a bit of a hit because he had been on an incline, pretty steadily, slow and steady for most of the year. Nothing but a soft exhale. He's a local client, but it's a local business in a large area in his state. Other than that, all of my clients, relatively normal activity. Some small decreases, like I saw a 0.3% drop in visibility at most, which has been a big relief for me. But as I try to do is play on a range of metrics. And my clients are real world products and services. So there's other factors involved, but there's also very high competition markets for keyword bidding. And of course, a lot of the competitors took some very major hits. So I can't, show, and certainly don't want to really show the kind of results that I get often, because I don't want to come off to Google like, hey, I'm breaking your bank, but rather to play a steady, solid game and incorporate all of the tools of SEO, from good content, good SEO markup, using a broad range of social media, and YouTube is also, essential. And then when you put a good link building strategy behind it, and I'm going to show you why it works for some and how it works differently for some and others, because there's a range of factors. But one thing I'm seeing in people that have successfully circumvented these HCU updates, they got solid backlinking with anchor text and keywords going to the locations. So we're going to take a look at all that in a nice real world scenario. So this is Dark Marketing. I'm your host, Big Dom. Let's get started. Now, before we dive in here, let's just take a quick look at this Zippy SEO article by Cyrus Shepard. And I picked up this article from watching Niche Pursuits podcast and came over here and read it. And most of the sites in this comparison that he does, they have advertising, okay? They're using Mediavine, and one thing that stuck out to me on those that are hit hard at the bottom, fixed video ads. So, fixed ad footer. Okay? So let's keep that in mind for a second. And what I really had been looking for recently was some search results for HCU update case study ads. And here we see his article come up, but down here I discovered his LinkedIn post. And let's take a look at that. Hit by Google's helpful content update? Correlation isn't causation, but 80% of the sites that reach out to me publicly, privately, after being hit by Google's HCU update had one common denominator. All ran Mediavine, AdThrive, etc., with ads that follow the user scroll and cover the main content. Okay? Autoplay videos, social share pop-ups, full page interstitials. Oh, sorry, my eyes are strained. And alert buttons were too common. Okay, so let's just keep this in mind before we look at this examination. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Jesse Cunningham, he has a very successful YouTube channel about SEO, niche website, which he uses a website called Bonsai Mary. This is his showpiece that revolves around most of his, videos. So that being said, I paused the video where he's talking about he got hit hard. And he used the words, I'm not sure if I was targeted, but I believe he was. And I paused the video here where he's showing his Google Search Console. And look what happened to him. Pages on this site appear to use aggressive spam techniques such as automatically generated gibberish, cloaking, scraping content from other websites, and or repeated or erroneous violations of Google spam policies for web search. Sorry, I disagree. Okay? I disagree because the truth is anybody that's using ChatGPT, at any point could qualify with some of these things. And this website is not gibberish. They have real images. They're not, stock footage or things like that. And he got hit hard. He was completely obliterated on Google. When I do a search for Bonsai Mary on Google, he's not here. He's not here at all. But if I go and do a search on Bing for Bonsai Mary, he's #1, as he should be. Okay? Now, that being said, he's been completely obliterated from Google. Fortunately, he has a very good social media following and basis built up, and I'm sure that is helping him as he outlined in his video. But let's take a look at his ecosystem, okay? Because there's a lot to be gleaned from this. Now, let's turn to our trusty Hrefs for a nice thorough analysis and comparison of his ecosystem. So taking a look at his numbers, let's take a look at his number of backlinks, referring domains, keywords, traffic. 11.6K down 10.4K. And we can see big drop organic traffic here. Okay, getting down a little further, let's jump right into the competitors. Okay, and competitors are based on keyword overlap. So I took a couple of these and also some from search, but Grep App, okay, let's take a look at them. Oh. 5.5K backlinks, but 1.7K referring domain names, 271,000 keywords. That's a lot. They're up. 380,000K traffic. So this is big. Okay, and you can see it's just been on the go up. And let's just take a look at that. It's about an app. Okay, and they have blogs, lots of content, big site. But one thing I want to point out about this, and I'm sure there's tons of external advertising driving that traffic behind this, but there's no ads on this site, okay? Bonsai Mary, ads. Greg, no ads, okay? And let's just take a little look at Greg App's, here, backlinks. Now, when I start to go down in the backlinks, what I like to do is sort my DR values and get myself in the 70s, you know, between the upper 50s and 70, because this is where you're going to find the keyword anchor text. You really rarely find targeted keyword anchor text from a backlink with a 94 DR value. Generally, those are non-contextual links that people get on the site, and it's more of a citation or a mention. And so you're just going to see the URL. But remember, as I pointed out in other videos, you see this? Anchor and target URL. Why do you think they got this in here? And as we start going down, look, here's the anchor text. Global green pathos. And look at the link. Global green parent. The words are in there. And this is what we want to start looking for. We see this. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce it, but those words are part of the link. You see that? Again. And there's lots and lots of examples of this that tie into a pattern. And this is where the real keyword link juice from external backlinks happens. Okay? This is the key metric. They've got a lot of that going on. So that's these guys. Big site, a different comparison to Bonsai Mary. But now, let's take a look at another one. Houseplant Center. Okay? Houseplant Center is actually very more comparable in the sense to Bonsai Mary as we look at the numbers. Okay? 25K, traffic down 6K. But one thing we can see here with these guys, they've been on the decline for a while. Okay? Since the helpful content update started in September. And if we take a little look at their site, okay, what do we see here? Again, it's the ads, okay? The fixed footer ad. So, those with ads, then, and I looked at a lot of the blogs on these sites, and I see AI involved. So, just so that we're clear about that. Because even though I'm pointing out about how Bonsai Mary doesn't have keyword anchor text, regardless of that, I really feel that they were targeted. And the only reason they were targeted is because they're constantly being featured up on his channel as his, you know, as a representation of his exploitations of production. So when we got into here and looking at, you know, Houseplant Center, and I believe, yeah, they were on this list. Now, looking at their backlinks, I found little to no anchor text that fit to the source page, okay? Couple of I came across one or two examples, but I had to go quite a bit through their backlinks. You see I went about 5 pages back. I'm already down to a DR value of 38, and I'm just not seeing it. And a lot of no-follow links, okay? So, they lack that ranking link juice factor that comes from backlinking. Now, one thing I want to point out here about this site, they do have this ad on the footer, but it's their own ad, and it goes to an Amazon page with their own products on it, okay? And if we take a look at their blog, because there always can be other contributing factors to decline. Perhaps they're not working on the site regularly. I noted that 2 of the blogs here are more, this one is from 2020, this one's February 2024, again, the same. They might just be updated blogs because they're on the same day, and maybe they updated the date, but I'm not seeing a lot of new stuff. And then, like, of course, if I click on this right away, when I see these table of contents, it kind of screams to me that's, you know, a lot of times an AI giveaway because everybody's using that. And those have generally, in a comparison or case study, shown to actually increase the ranking for blogs. So, but we're not seeing that. And then, of course, they've got their own YouTube. I didn't look at their YouTube, and perhaps things are just stalling for them, which is why, you know, they've been on sort of a decline. There could be other factors. We'd have to look a little deeper at that. But just looking at our overall general metrics that tend to affect things, this is the way we want to go. Now, the next site I want to take a look at that was on their list was Bonsai Empire. And Bonsai Empire is a, again, larger site, okay? 29.5K keywords being tracked, 150,000 traffic, okay? They've got growth, nice positive numbers, super high backlinks here, and we can see they've been on a relatively steady growth rate. And this, you know, like when you see these kind of curves like this is just that is an indicator that things are just progressing at a certain rate continuously. That's a kind of a nice sign there. Let's take a look at that site. This is Bonsai Empire, okay? And again, now look what screams out at me. There's absolutely no ads on this site here. And that could be a big factor involved, okay? In the fact that there's nothing applying a negative annotation with this, because it seems pretty clear to me that Google is attacking sites that are using these other advertising platforms like Mediavine. Now, when I go through their backlinks, I am finding a lot of anchor text backlinks, bonsai trees, okay? Now, it may go to bonsai history, but one thing I really notice in this, there's a lot of anchor text just for this phrase, bonsai trees, okay? Now, when I go to Google and I do a search for bonsai trees, and I scroll down, bam, there they are. See the relationship? See what's going on here? No ads, anchor text. Let's move on. Oh, wait, and let's take a look at the keyword research for bonsai trees. Almost forgot. I said let's put that in because, of course, these are the little subdirections you're going to take when you're doing analysis. Bonsai trees? Whoa, look at that, 7.9K. Difficulty, hard. That's because this is a high competition phrase. And they got a lot, and I mean a lot of anchor text that say bonsai trees. Now, let's take a look at this one. 8 billion trees. Another one that falls within the competition of Bonsai Mary. However, it's a broader topic base, okay? But since September and the original HCU update, this baby has been consistently going down. And this is a larger site in comparison to Bonsai Mary, okay? Now, when we look at that site, what do we see? Now, I'm on a blog page from that site that just happened to be Bonsai Trees because I probably clicked the link from the backlinks. But in any case, look, they're running Mediavine ads. Okay, they got the video, the whole thing. Oh, and they're going down. Seeing a pattern here? I am. And when I look through their backlinks, their best backlinks are really the high DR value links, and a lot of these are like environmental articles, and there's some, you know, anchor text here, but this is not exactly what I would say are the competition zone. And when we start to get down to, I started to go page through and try to get down to go through the DR values, I didn't really find any anchor text as I go. And let's go, I think I went a little further. And as you can see, a lot of domain rank value on just the domain, but we're not really seeing that sort of keyword anchor text, and they are on the decline, okay? Now let's take a look at this little gem, bonsainut.com, okay? Now Bonsai Nut is on the larger side. Look, we've got 55.8K thousand keywords. So that's an indicator, traffic, lots of content, okay? Look at this curve. Look at that going up, okay? Only just taking a very small hit recently with the last rollout of update. That's nothing. That's what I refer to as a soft exhale, and what I see a few of my clients are doing that fit into the ecosystem correctly. Now let's just take a look at this, because here we go. And what really sticks out to me about this site? Well, it's got ads. But lo and behold, guess who these ads are running from? These are Google ads. adddoubleclick.net. You see that in the bottom left hand of my screen when I put my mouse over? And that is what's going on here, because these guys got all the right metrics, but they're running Google ads, not Mediavine or one of these other guys, because Google's making money from the traffic that's going into this site. You understand? And now keep something in mind. One of the reasons I'm showing larger against more relative is because the guys who are the biggest should be the ones taking the biggest hit when they're breaking the algorithmic rule that Google's trying to impose on them with these changes. Bonsai Mary was in a much safer zone for its amount of traffic. It should have been under the radar. In fact, the only thing, I haven't found a single site that was penalized the way Bonsai Mary was, which is why it's absolutely no doubt in my mind, because he's the only difference between him and all of these other bonsai tree sites, and I went through about 20, is that he was frontlining that site for his Google, for his SEO, for his YouTube. Okay? Now, when we take a look at the backlinks here, I didn't find a lot of anchor text backlinks, but they do have a good quantity and they have a lot of high DR value backlinks. And when you're just relying on the DR value, what you want to really look at is like the date range. Okay? So which ones are most recent? And he's got some, 2024s at the end of the year, a lot of 2023, okay? And there's no rhyme or reason to this. And they go down, so he's got some, things like that, but I didn't find a lot of keyword anchor text. He's got backlinks, but these backlinks are not driving keyword ranking. It's happening solely from the pages, because backlinking is not necessary requirement. Remember, when you're competing in a marketplace, it's like, a battlefield, the landscape. You're competing in that landscape. And so the metrics and the approaches you want to apply are going to be not just dictated by Google's algorithm, but versus the other companies that you're competing with in that landscape. And if most of them don't really have the sort of backlinks that are driving the keyword ranking, it's a lot more of an open field. Not everybody's going to need it, but the ones that have it are clearly doing a much more powerful, deeper, wider presence, higher traffic, bigger range of keywords. And, just as a quick example, let's just look at this. Let's click on his organic keywords. He's got 64,000 plus it's showing, and there's a lot of bonsai here, but they go in different directions. So it's not, it's a bigger site. It's a little bit more broad. So, but we see a really, really different thing going on here. And this ain't exactly like the most cutting edge website I ever saw before. So that being said, that's to me a big giveaway. And one of the things that I've been looking for are the guys that are running Google ads being dealt with differently. And it all goes back to the casino guys, because there's a lot of traffic going on. Google sees it, sees their searches. And, when we go in here and we go to Google, and look, bonsai trees, and I think I had another here. Bonsai tree types, I was expanding, okay, because we can see there's a lot more searches here. Bonsai tree types, you don't see, except for up here, these sponsored. And this little, I'm sure people aren't too happy about that. That's one of those things you've seen that Google's doing with the AI. But in this case, look, there's Bonsai Empire again, because a lot of value in that root phrase bonsai tree, which they are crushing. But the real thing here is we're not seeing a lot of ads. So as a result, there's not a lot of push there. And so now that you got guys that are making revenue with Mediavine and all this, well, if Google's going to push traffic and somebody's going to benefit, they're going to make sure the guys that are running the Google ads are going to benefit. And this is, I'm sure if I keep digging here, I didn't go and look at every single one. I was looking at some of the statistics, but I was really just trying to see who might have taken like a complete tank in the way that Bonsai Mary does. But there's plenty of other sites to kind of go through the metrics. And, I really suggest that you get on Google and take a look at what they talk about with the core updates, because You know, the other big factor that's going on here, here we go. This is about the latest core update. And this right here, scaled content abuse. Understand? Because the other end of the spectrum are the guys that are doing mass blog articles. Now, what we just analyzed, I don't really see that that's, you know, that the articles are happening on like a mass approach. They're not putting up 1,000 blogs a month. Okay, so what clearly happened here, and in my opinion, what will now have to happen for Bonsai Mary is they'll have to go in and really revamp their content. Fortunately, he's got great presence on other search engines, got a great social media following, and hopefully will rebound from this, you know, what's happened recently. Now, because the competition landscape is different here for this particular marketplace, Bonsai Mary should have been the type of site that Google plays against the bigger sites to get them to spend money. But nobody is spending money, and the only people making money are running Mediavine ads. And so the game goes to play against that metric and favors the guy with the Google ads. Pretty simple, okay? Sites with keyword anchor text clearly doing much better, have the better driving ranking factor. Now, as I've already talked about this in previous videos, this was coming, okay? Scaled content abuse. These are the guys that are creating mass amount of content, okay? Too fast, and, you know, the reality is it doesn't really matter because they're saying here, you know, to generate low quality. But I see people who have generated even high quality scaled content and still get hammered, okay? Site reputation abuse. This is parasite SEO. In my opinion, this is a good thing. I'm glad they're clamping down on this because to me, that is something, you know, to say it's unethical, but it's just something that kind of gets in the way. It's a hack, in my opinion, a weakness in the algorithm, and it's something they needed to tie up. Expired domain name abuse. Occasionally, expired domain names are purchased and repurposed with the primary intention of boosting search engine ranking of low quality or unoriginal content. So, the way this wording tends to proceed is that, you know, getting an expired domain name is not necessarily going to be a bad thing as long as it's got the right usage behind it and not just for the intention of creating a lot of content. I've seen more than a few people in the past year or more, and I know I've seen a couple or at least one really big story on niche pursuits in the past where guys spent quite a bit of money to get some expired domain names and then load it up with content that they're creating with automation with GPT, ChatGPT, and AI early on. They let out. And literally, we're making like, I think, several $1 million a month. And then Google caught on, and a lot of that got led into. That was my, actually, if I recall, that was my first red flag into thinking that, yeah, these guys who go on YouTube and they talk about it and too much and realize, you know, it becomes a red flag. And don't think, you know, these guys from Google that are on YouTube and After Hours and Search Console, they're in all the same social media circles. They're watching what's going on. And even recently I saw that Jared and Jason from Niche Pursuits commented that they realized Google seemed to be addressing things they were talking about. And I'm not sure if they meant it in the context that they're watching them, but I said, yeah, absolutely they are, because at that time I was thinking the same thing. I'm starting to see a lot of things that are being talked about, that those guys kind of do a week in review every week. And guys, if you don't watch Niche Pursuits, I mean, these guys are fantastic. These guys, Jared and Jason, their podcast, excellent interviews, and you get to know who a lot of the real players are. And most of the guys that I now follow their YouTube channels, I first learned about them from Niche Pursuits. These guys are very smart, very successful, and do an excellent interview. I really like Jared. He asks all the right questions when he's doing an interview with people. Very insightful. They know what they're talking about. They know what to look for. They're very good at analysis, and they have one of the best channels on YouTube, in my opinion. They are my top pick for watching things. Now, another guy I really like, Julian Goldie, and he recently took some big hits because he falls under this scaled content abuse. And even if his content was high quality, one of the things that happened, it's an easy thing to pick up on. Just like, look, Google penalizes people if you suddenly can get indexed 100,000 backlinks overnight, okay? You get a severe penalty. Not too hard to imagine they were going to be able to implement that same sort of algorithmic approach to content that's surfaced, that's meant to come to the top of the search results here, where people are creating blog and, web content at mass scale. Time is always a factor. There's 4 dimensions in this universe, and nowhere is it easier to measure time. And if you notice, when we look at all these backlinks on these sites, they got dates. Oh, sorry, those are not backlinks, keywords, but when we go through, everything is dated, okay? And it's the same with web pages and blogs. And so it's not hard to figure out. Now, one thing I always do and advise my clients who come to me and say, yeah, I want the big package. I want like a bazillion backlinks. No. First, you have to have the content to support the right kind of link building that goes behind that. Furthermore, you have to grow into it naturally. You have to ease your way into the ecosystem and make everything related to what you do grow exponentially, but gradually. It starts like, like I said, back to the farming scenario. You're going to plant your seeds and things are going to grow. And yes, you're going to try to water them a little faster, okay? But ultimately, you can't just go from 0 to 60 overnight. It doesn't happen. It's one of the easiest ways for Google to really red flag when it comes to the scaled content. Now me, I really like Julian Goldie. Very innovative, does a lot of great videos on how to use AI and ChatGPT, great workflows. He's a very smart guy and he works the math. I have no doubt he's going to be working a lot of other good angles with things. And just like a lot of guys, they're realizing that, hey, Google's making its changes and now we've got to adapt with it. And this is why, I've said before in my other videos, keep your head under the radar. Don't overly draw attention. Even if you find some great thing that you could exploit to death, you got to be careful because sooner or later, you're not going to need YouTube for Google to pick up on it and realize there's something not right. Because it seems like what Google's really looking at is they're watching where the money is going. Watching where the money is going. Because, guys, I told you it's a casino. And if you don't think about it in those terms and watch who the players are at the table and where the money is and what's going on. And in this scenario that we just analyzed with Bonsai Mary, we just saw, and those were the examples. I didn't fish those out specifically. Those were the top 5 or 6 competitors that came right out of Ahrefs that he was sharing keyword ranking with. Okay? Now, you don't think that Google's a casino? Well, take a look at this little beauty of an article. How 16 companies are dominating the world's Google search results, 2024 edition. Right? Now we scroll down here. The 16 companies Google sends a combined 3 billion plus clicks a month. Now let me tell you, this is a ginormous article. I have not read it all yet, but this is all I needed to see. And now we come down here and we see that all of these companies who represent all of these other companies. And I thought to myself, where's Forbes? Because I do a lot of manual searching and I'm seeing this trend of these big companies coming up in search results where they got no business being. And let me give you a quick example. I just happened to search cheap web hosting the other day. Look, Forbes is buying, sponsored, about top 6 cheap hosting of 2024. And then when we get down to the regular results, they're number 1 with another web hosting. Hey guys, help me understand what Forbes knows about web hosting. Because see, like when I'm looking for, like I want to move my stuff to a new VPS company, I look for who's the top 10 VPS hosting companies. And I don't want them reviewed and rated by Forbes. I want them reviewed by like a PC World or PC Magazine, a ZDNet related type high-tech review, internet. Forbes? No, okay? And other ones I see are like, look at that, top 10. I used to own that domain name. I let that slip. I got a lot of top 10 domain names. Boy, am I mad about this to this day. Now, I look at, Of course, many of you guys might, oh look, there's PC Mag. Great, thanks, because I needed all the crap guys first. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of. And I'm seeing it in really the most unusual places, even in some things where I was doing searches for local SEO services for some client stuff. And I'm like, come on guys, Google, this is what happens. Google will cannibalize itself with this approach by giving it away to these big players who are spending money. These companies are like people going to Mar-a-Lago and spending big bucks to have access to ex-President Google. Understand what I'm saying? That's what is happening here. And what winds up happening, the bad economic effect of this is like when people get cut out of making money and wages get driven way down, well then those people no longer have money to spend and buy the things that the people who cut those wages from now can no longer sell at the premium values anymore because they don't have the base of people with money. It's an economic principle. And Google should understand this, and by not, giving way to this, and maybe this is a temporary thing while they're trying to figure out how to get things under control, because quite frankly, their search results have been pretty crappy. Another thing I see is a lot of things from Yelp. Yelp was a search engine under development. It's being actually by the creators of Ahrefs, and then it became directory based, and Yelp is buying a lot of these top responses, to very common searches for things like, I need the top 10 of this, or I need the top 10 of that. Hence the casino. They're giving favoritism to these companies. They got no business. Forbes has no business talking about web hosting. Sorry. If I want to know what I want to talk about, investing, or some things related to that, personal finance and all of that, etc., that's what I think of when I think of Forbes. So now I come back over here as a little funny moment as I'm doing this. I said, come on, this enormous article is ginormous. So I'll be, and all of the, the comments and everything. So I'll be reading this tonight. It'll be my bedtime reading. But what I did is I come over here and I said, find Forbes. And there's only one of one. And look what it says. A few readers are thinking about Forbes right now. I know you didn't see this. Boy, I just had a laugh when I did this just 10 minutes ago before I started recording this segment. So, the fact that I'm seeing this Forbes all over is the first one that comes to my mind. And then I'm looking at, I see this article, later, and then I'm like, where's Forbes? And this is what I'm talking about, okay? Now let's look at Forbes on Ahrefs, right? With their high DR value of 94, their 58.5 million backlinks, their 69.9 million traffic, and look at this growth chart, okay? So what is happening when we're looking at these search results? Basically, what Google is allowing is for these big companies to game the system to take away all of these searches that have a lot of value to put up, hey, the top 10 list or top, a little variation, 11, 6, whatever. But there's a lot of guys that do that, right? And so they're letting Forbes and all these big companies tap into market share that they have no business being. And all they had to do is also maybe buy these ads at the top, which is minuscule in cost, compared to what they're going to really gain by gaming the system and using their massive ranking, because literally there isn't a subject matter that they can't create some content for and rank by using their overwhelming numbers that are going to give them power to rank almost anything, and Google's allowing them to game the system. Where's the ethicalness in that, right? I see more lawsuits on the horizon for Google if they don't get their act together, because it's pretty clear how they're really rolling to penalize people, and you can't use AI as an excuse because everyone's using it and it's so prevalent it's impossible for them to stop it, okay? And are you going to tell me that Forbes is not using AI for content creation? As it's been widely reported that many of these big publishing sites have cut back on their actual writers in favor of using AI. And all I got to do is go right over to Google and search Forbes using AI, and look what came up. Forbes has been an early adopter of artificial intelligence AI for nearly 5 years and is now a foundational technology for its first-party data platform. I don't need to read anything else because we already know it's all okay for Forbes to do it because Forbes has so much traffic and so much ranking value, and it's just so easy for somebody like Forbes to step in here and start dominating search results for things like cheap web hosting. I shouldn't be seeing that, right? Come on. What's going on, guys? And Bonsai Mary is being penalized? Okay? Bonsai Mary is being penalized because it doesn't use Google Ads and because he's demonstrating some of his viable approaches on how he probably has done some very effective SEO in his content creation. But it is a solid site. And to say it's not helpful or that it's all spam, sorry, no. I disagree. Now let's compare a few apples to oranges, okay? These are Forbes. This is Reddit. Now obviously, Reddit is larger in comparison. However, Forbes is a large enough website that it could be a platform unto itself. Okay? Reddit, when I'm looking at these, I lost it. Let's go back to cheap website hosting, right? Now when I look down here, who am I going to find in the results? Reddit. But Reddit is a different platform with an immense amount of different subject topics. So it makes sense that they're going to fit in all of these different other search results. Forbes, no. This is an exploitation that's being perpetrated, okay? And, you know, it's like the stock market. When the stock market crashes, where does all that money go? Does it just evaporate? No. There's a small percentage of people that cash out at high value and make the biggest share, while everyone else sells off, driving all the value down, and those that reap the biggest profits early on come back and buy everything at a very low rate and basically just wait for things to go back up again. And this is kind of a similar principle in what we're witnessing here with these search results that are allowing Forbes to dominate all sorts of things that are basically unrelated to what their website is about. Now, as I'm recording this, I'm doing a crawl of Forbes' website, and I'm only 20% through it, and I've already indexed in my crawl over 4,000 pages. So I ask you when I get to the end before this video and have a total quantity, what is Forbes' crawl budget and all of these other companies that are encapsulated under this top 16 companies that Google is feeding all this traffic? What happened to those rules about crawl budget? I see it all the time in my clients with super large websites and especially the Shopify. But this is what happens when companies that start off with a really great product and a dream, whether it's iPhone, Windows operating systems, computers, Google, all these sort of life-changing technologies until it becomes about the almighty dollar. And it's important not to forget that sites like Reddit, they don't need Google. Google needs Reddit, okay? And just like Google needs Reddit, it needs all the rest of us. And if you start giving the lion's share to these companies, this is why your search engine has gone completely downhill. And let's just do a sort of side-by-side comparison again. Because Forbes is buying a sponsored ad here, and they're ranking, but top 10, these are the real guys ranking for this, as we're going to see. Because Forbes is down here again, and I got to go way down to get like the real legitimate resources that I might want to really see who's rating the top 10 hosting companies. Okay? But if I go to Bing, okay, top 10. Company comparing web hosting, Website Planet, hosting advice. Understand? Oh, look, Forbes is here because they've managed to rank with their overwhelming ranking factors. They can rank for just about anything, right? PC Mag, ZDNet. Whoa, they're still around. I just said that because I'm an old timer. Now, what you need to really understand, Bing is giving me a better search result here than Google. Yes, I'm very happy with what I'm doing in SEO with the way Google is malfunctioning right now, but as an end user, your search result, kind of not so great. In fact, when I come over here, this is Yahoo. Let's see what Yahoo did. Top 10 again. Very similar result. Much more realistic in the sources. And Forbes is down lower. So you see how Forbes gets away by using its rank to abuse things? That is the sort of thing that Google needs to be capping. You know, it should be the same for the big guy as it is for the small guy. And then Bonsai Mary, now completely removed from Google. I got to go over here and I search it. But look at these guys that certainly managed to capitalize on Bonsai Mary's name. They got no Mary. They put a different Mary with a last name to capitalize on the searches for Bonsai Mary. As I imagine, they're probably high because on a normal, realistic search engine, Bing, Bonsai Mary comes up number 1. That's their name. That's who they are. That's their brand. Just makes sense. Yahoo, that's all I get, right? That's mostly Bonsai Mary because that's what you're looking for. Even Yahoo knows that. I don't have to waste any time because if I'm looking for Bonsai Mary, that's who I want. .com, not all these other guys. Thanks, Google. Why don't you impose some of those rules on Forbes and those other companies? Now, when I tell you that I can break down any marketplace by looking at its competitors and see what the influential factors are, and this is how I guide my SEO clients. Because as I always say in my previous videos, you have to fit into the landscape in which you're competing. And once you start to analyze the competitors and see what the factors are that are driving their rank, then things become clear pretty quick. Let's take a look at one more. Because like I said, I didn't pull these sites out of my ass randomly because they just happened to look good in the way I was going to present my analysis. I took them in the right out of his competing domains. So let's go one more. Bonsai Outlet, right? And when we look at Bonsai Outlet overall, this is a more comparable site in terms of numbers to, say, a Bonsai Mary, where we see they get about 18.8K of traffic. And if we looked at, say, Bonsai Mary, of course, they're down 11K, but they would have been in the 22K range. So, and why I say this is similar, because if we look at this site over time, it actually did, you know, in the 2-year overview, it used to do much better. And so its decline was happening long before HCU, which didn't really start to happen till around here. It doesn't look like they were impacted at all. And in fact, they've been steadily doing better recently, even right after the most recent update. So now let's just take a quick look at that site, okay? And what this site is and makes it different is this is a more of a Shopify type site, okay? And look, pots, a lot of bonsai pots, right? Let's take a look at their backlinks. Now, in their, I actually found a few keyword links in their high 90s, but most of them were contextual. But once I start getting down here, because you see you got to go a few pages back, they've been around a while, they have a good quantity of backlinks here. These are happening concurrently because all time they're 238. So we come back here, and like I said, you start to find the real value ones when you start getting down to like 71 and into the 60s. And look, handmade pots. See this? Bonsai pots. I see a lot of pots. See that? Handmade pots going to bonsai pots. Okay? And we see that they have a lot of content. And we can go through here more, and we'll see a lot of similar things that revolve with the keyword anchor text. Let's see. Flowering bonsai tree goes to a page. Flowering bonsai tree. Get it? And if I go to Google and I search for bonsai pots, well, after Amazon and sponsored and a bunch of this BS, the #1 result comes from that website, bonsai pots. Let's just see. Sometimes they're a little hit or miss. But let's take this phrase and let's see how good they do for it. And of course, I'm just doing the manual approach. if I were to extract some phrases and do a more detailed report, might find something, better. Doesn't mean they're going to rank for every variation of a phrase. There's that bonsai empire. And why? Because we've got bonsai tree in our phrase. Remember that? And they are overwhelmingly backlinked for that phrase. So I'm not seeing them here on the first page result. Doesn't mean they could be. No. I'm looking for their avatar, and I don't see it. But like I said, you can see there's a strong relationship between keywords and look, tiny roots, bonsai, especially when you see exact matches between keywords and the page, and you see that the page is named for the keyword phrase, and that is the keyword emphasis of that page, and that's what the backlink anchor text is showing. This is the kind of results that you're going to see a lot with Google when you put these phrases in, because it's all about that metric. Okay, now I didn't do a deep dive on any of these. I did them really real time with you, one at a time. But again, this site's a little different as compared to the other sites because it's a shopping site. And because it's a shopping site, Shopify style, and we can see that if we take a closer look. Like if I go into the pots and we take a look, very looks like a sort of a Shopify layout. We've got reviews, the price, etc. Choose option, little favorite. These things are indicative of a Shopify. Although, however, it could be another platform. Doesn't matter because those platforms all fall under another category as opposed to blogs, and there'll be a different scoring mechanism going on, which is why we didn't see a lot of this helpful content impact going on. And of course, they're not running ads, okay? So, because they're selling their own stuff. And so they're not being hit by anything adverse as it relates to things like Mediavine. Understand? And I can go to the next one and the next one and pick apart the driving factors behind its rank. And no matter how deep I dive into each individual one, I can really look at the influence of the link building, how much of it is their own page ranking, and how long they've been around, and how large is their content, right? So, all of that being said, something is not right about how Google is talking about the things it's doing and how it's sort of, this sort of retribution tactic that I've seen, that where they extremely penalize somebody. Look, you can't just pick one guy out of a hat. And I realize they're trying to get their algorithm. And I agree that they should be trying to cap people that are mass-producing content because it's an unfair advantage. And even if you can train your AI to make sure that every one of your articles is really high quality and seems personable and from personal experience and has different human tones and whatever it may be, it's not really right because at the end of the day, you are just spamming the system. But at the same time, I think it's better that it will help people to focus on what they do, which is creating really good, high quality content. And you don't have to mass produce it because I've seen too many case studies. Another one that's going on right now is, I believe Niche Pursuits, they got a contest about people generating content with their sites with AI. And I think they're about 4 months in, and the last episode that I caught where they gave an update, the real big winners, the guys who mass produced, who did good early on, are tumbling right now. And the people that went slower and produced less quantity but high quality are so far appearing to be the long-term winners. But they're only like 4 months in. I think it's a 6-month challenge. But clearly, there's a huge amount of data in there to differentiate about what's going on because it's all, everyone in the competition, it's 100% AI content, okay? So it's really behind, are you generating that content with AI or are you directing AI to create what you want? You're really putting the input in there to make that content, to make what's really good and really creating a good user experience. Because at the end of the day, guys, you can't run from the real world. You've got to have a real site, good quality content, and regardless of whether you're running ads or not, you need a solid backlinking strategy. Because one thing I've seen so far, I haven't seen anybody that got severely hurt that has a good backlinking strategy with keyword anchor text at any level that I can see that it's driving rank behind it. And so that there's still that variable I'm searching out. But I've certainly started to come across one or two others where I realize if you're running Google ads, well, it's all good. And in this market, where nobody's really buying, keyword ads, then all the money is going into the websites and whatever ads they're running. And Google's not making money off of Mediavine, and they're seeing all of this cheddar just spill onto the floor, go across the poker table and into somebody else's pocket, and they're not even getting a piece. So the guy that's getting Google ads, well, they may not be getting the revenue here, but they're getting it with the guy that's running the Google ads when he gets to the site. Understand? And I got a feeling anybody that switches to Google ads, however less profitable they may be, as opposed to Mediavine, well, you're probably going to find that you're coming back in the results unexpectedly. Anybody gives that a try and finds out about it, I sure like to hear about it because I'm on the lookout for it. Now, in case you're curious, my crawl of Forbes' site is complete, and I crawled just over 32,000 pages. Out of those 32,000 pages, just roughly maybe 43-44% are indexable. So I sorted it. As soon as I start to go through the unindexable ones, they seem to appear to have a lot of redirects and some canonical URLs. It requires a deeper dive, but immediately something screamed out at me is that while some of these blogs may have outdated topics, as the title of the file page is the name of the blog article, so I saw something there screamed out at me, and so they don't necessarily redirect to another article. They have an error, but it seems they recycle old content with redirects into new content. That requires a little study, and just some of the things I saw very quickly, I think it might be worthwhile me taking a look at a few other larger sites that are cannibalizing up Google, and both intentionally and what appears to be with the help of Google, despite the golden rules of Google. Well, listen, Lord of the Rules, if you're going to impose rules, make sure you're going to do it for the big guys as well as the little guys, because it's the little guys that have made you great, that give you the resources to have searchability. And the reality is your search results, not that great for the end user. I don't want to see top10.com every time I do a search. Okay, Reddit, I understand. But I mean, come on guys, Forbes should not be in there for VPS hosting. I mean, when you look at their topics, you might think that while Forbes is chiefly a financial sort of brand, I would expect to find things about Mercedes-Benz and the most costly houses and home improvements for the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Not for the blue-collar guy. Sorry, no. Google, get it together, buddy, because I smell class action suits on the horizon. Now, you have legitimate issues with people and how they're creating content. That I understand. But this sort of targeted retribution or making an example of someone is not the answer either, because guys like Jesse Cunningham, they're creating other people that you need. They're making new poker players that you need for your paying poker players who buy Google ads, keyword ads, to be able to have someone to play against. And if you're going to pit them against Forbes, well, no one's going to come into your casino anymore and play your games because there's nothing to win. And Bing's market share is growing. And especially with AI, their AI on Microsoft is pretty nice. So, as people start to lean into more usage, you're already there. You start using Bing. A lot of companies like my clients in high tech and semiconductor, they have very stringent guidelines inside the facility about security. You can't go on YouTube, certainly not looking at porn. There's a lot of in-house restrictions. And as a result, you don't even get to use Chrome or Google. They make sure you're using 100% Microsoft under their security roof, which is Bing, okay? And that's why Bing may get less traffic, but my clients in high tech, value per visitor is higher. There's more probability that a user visitor from Bing will generate a lead per person than Google, even though Google's the big winner because overwhelmingly it's a larger market share of traffic that it's going to drive for those leads. But Bing is extremely valuable, okay? And some of the highest quality leads that lead to some of the biggest purchases come from Bing because those people are inside their facilities where there are restrictions. And gradually, one step at a time, Microsoft has been picking away at Google, and now their opportunity to do so is greater than ever because when I do manual searches, I'm a little more happy with Bing than I am with Google, and I never use Bing, sorry, but I am starting today because I'm finding the things that I want to find without finding Forbes and the same 5 guys every time I do a search for something. So that being said, I hope that my analysis, well, I had hoped to show a little more in terms of the backlinking, hoping there would be some more opportunities for that because that is such a powerful ranking factor that you got a good site, you don't have anything adverse in your way, you've got quantity, quality, and you can pin link building to that with keyword anchor text, you're pretty much going to weather every storm and you're going to consistently find that you can maintain a solid market share and continue to grow it as long as your content and the marketplace that you compete in allows for that, okay? Because the minute you start to step outside the norms, this was such a great example because when we hit the 6-1, we found another site that was a little bit different in the sense that it's a shopping site. And so it falls into a different metric. But we can see clearly what are the factors that drove one site over another and the factors that also caused them to sink. Media buying seems to be the biggest. Well, that's because Google doesn't want somebody else standing outside the casino because that's really what's happening. And they're watching that money go right off the table and go right outside the door and put that money into somebody else's hands. And they're watching it, literally watching it happen in their search results. That's what that algorithm is targeting. And I have to find anyone to show me different. So in closing, is SEO dead? No. But Google might be if it stays on the path that it's on. Because the reality is, if you continue to deliver suck results, what's going to happen is people are going to shift to Bing. And Bing's going to become the leader. Okay? Slow and steady can win the race. And making poor decisions in the middle of a race can really cost you the big game. Google needs to stick to what it does best. And you know, having SEO guys that are teaching tactics to other guys and creating more people and websites and competition, it's a balance of power that works best. When Google is working against, you know, in a balanced way against those that are trying to make the most of their system and bringing others in to do the same because everybody has a website and a dream. You take that away and put it all in the hands of just like the richest 1%, like a lot of stuff that happens in this country's economics, well, then the value of what you really have is going to become worthless because your searches are really not doing so good these days. And people are with you as a matter of habit. But gradually, Bing is going to get in a bigger and bigger market share, and I wouldn't be surprised if 2 years from now, Bing could grow itself to get 50% of the market share if Google doesn't wake up. Okay? You can't just suddenly decide you're going to employ nuclear weapons against small countries that don't have those capabilities. As I said, it's a balance of power that keeps the peace, keeps things working most effectively. And it's the challenge on both sides between Google and SEOs that actually have led to Google becoming a great search engine. Okay? That's just the way it is. And starting to try to overly define things or tip the scales, and especially as a big reaction to AI. You're not in the AI business, you're in the search engine business. And I don't want AI telling me what it thinks is the best picks because my experience with AI is it's stupid unless I tell it or give it the knowledge to really do the things it needs to do. Okay, there's going to be a lot of good uses for AI for Google and all of these other platforms because they're the gateway. But remember, that's what you are. You are the gateway. And what you do and develop with AI is something beyond that gateway, just like any other website, okay? Your search result is the poker table. But once I step onto an AI platform, I'm not in the casino anymore. Understand? Learn to separate the two and don't confuse them. Put your results, if you want to know the truth, put it back the way you had it before AI came out. And I think you'll see your profits going up considerably. That's the first step. And let the games begin. Let the competition happen. Let the players go in and play their poker. You're going to have winners. You're going to have losers. But the truth is, it was always a changing game and it's evolving. These rapid things that people are doing, you are empowering your competitors, not the people that help build you. And that's us, SEO guys, and the people, and the multitudes of people that got a website and a dream and get out of their day jobs and find a new way to make money and contribute to the economy. Take that away from that and you won't have an economy anymore. That's my closing thoughts on this matter. Now, there's so much more I would have liked to cover in this video, but I don't like my videos to go too long, and this one's already probably just about an hour or a little more. So that being said, guys, we're going to definitely be covering more analysis in the future, and I'm going to show you how to really break down and analyze market shares. But if you're a company or business and you need a solid SEO service that knows how to analyze your marketplace and understand the factors that are going to bring success for you, to lead you in the right direction with reliable, solid SEO content building approaches, emphasizing your products, keywords, and services, and a link building strategy that will help you weather all the storms of Google's so-called core and Google HCU updates. Okay, our link building services are unparalleled and the rank driving factors that we put behind it. Visit us at SEO Depot. We have something for everyone. We have a range of clients. We don't specialize in any one market. Whether you're high tech, you're a Shopify, e-commerce, link building services are an approach that works for everyone, along with our full scale SEO services. Whether you're national, global, or local, we've got a package for you. Visit us at SEODepot.com, and remember, guys, if you like this video and the content in it, remember to give us a like and to follow us, because more great videos to come, especially as we see so many things happening with Google these days. There's much to report on. Thanks for watching and have a great day.